The chamber of the Galactic Council was carved into the heart of a star-forged citadel, a place where thousands of voices echoed through airless halls. Here, representatives of the galaxy's oldest civilizations gathered beneath banners of light. They prided themselves on their order, their science, their flawless understanding of how life was meant to exist. And on this day, they laughed. The subject of their laughter was a planet. A tiny blue-green world spoken of only in whispers. Earth, said the council speaker, a tall being made of crystalline ridges. His voice rang like breaking glass. The fabled world of contradictions, a planet where deserts burn beside jungles, where ice sheets spread while volcanoes roar. Her myth told by liars, by those who drink too much of their own oxygen. Ripples of amusement passed through the chamber. A dozen alien species rumbled, hissed, or clicked their agreement. No world can support such chaos, said a serpent-like delegate, his eyes narrowing to slits. The models of planetary balance forbid it. Oceans and deserts cannot thrive together. Ice and heat cannot share the same sky. To speak of such a world is to insult reason itself. A smaller delegate, one of the avian races, fluttered its wings uneasily. And yet, it began. Reports exist. Scouts have sworn they saw it. They claim the world teems with life, more species than can be counted. The laughter stopped. A shadow passed across the chamber. Lies, the speaker said sharply. No scout has ever returned with proof. No vessel has brought back samples. This Earth is a dream told by travelers who wish to sound important. But even as his words rang out, silence tightened around the room. A message had just arrived. A new report. A fresh signal. The chamber dimmed as holographic light rose above the council floor. It was not rumor. It was not a voice recording. It was sensor data, taken from the edge of deep space. A fleet of small vessels had been detected. Not alien in design, not forged in any known dockyard. Their hulls bore strange marks, crude but proud. And they had all departed from one world, an unregistered, unclaimed planet. The coordinates matched the forbidden myth. Earth. The chamber erupted. Voices clashed like thunder. Some shouted for war, others for silence. Many demanded the data be destroyed before more could see it. This cannot be, roared an insectoid leader, his mandibles clattering. If such a world exists, then our sciences are broken. Every equation, every law shattered. They build ships, another delegate whispered, his tendrils quivering. If they can leave their world, they can spread. Panic seeped through the council. For thousands of years, they had believed life could only thrive under strict rules. One climate per world, one stable ecosystem, carefully balanced. Every race present had been born from a narrow cradle, but this Earth defied them. It was chaos, and yet it lived. The speaker of the council struck his crystal staff against the floor, silencing the uproar. If these humans are real, he said slowly, then they are an abomination against order. We must confirm this before their presence spreads through the stars. If Earth exists, then everything we believe, everything we teach is a lie. A hush fell. The council had not spoken of such fear in centuries. They had crushed empires, erased heresies, silenced whispers. But this was different. This was not rumor carried on traders' tongues. This was raw evidence. Earth had revealed itself. An inspection must be sent, said the serpent delegate. Our finest minds, our strongest ships. They must see with their own eyes whether this planet is truth or trickery. The speaker nodded, light shivering across his crystalline body. So it shall be. We will send an elite team to the coordinates. They will confirm the truth. If the planet is false, the myth will be ended forever. If it is real, his voice sharpened, then we will decide what to do with its people. The order spread across the chamber like fire through dry grass. Names were chosen. Fleets assembled. Scientists of renown and warriors of fearsome skill were summoned. They would pierce the unknown and lay judgment upon Earth. But beneath the tension, whispers spread. If Earth is real, what else is possible? Could there be more worlds like it? Worlds our science forbids. And what of these humans? How can they live in such chaos? In a corner of the chamber, a young alien envoy leaned close to her mentor. Her voice was low, almost fearful. Teacher, if humans can survive a world that should kill them 1,000 times over, what will they be capable of when they leave it? Her mentor gave no answer. His eyes were fixed on the holographic projection, of that blue-green sphere. It glimmered like a jewel against the void, small and distant, yet impossibly alive. The council believed they were sending an inspection, but the truth was darker. They were sending witnesses to a revelation that could undo the galaxy. And far away, on the surface of Earth, billions of humans lived their lives, unaware that the galaxy's oldest powers now trembled at the thought of their existence. The inspection fleet departed in silence, its engines cutting through the void. Behind them, the council chamber lay heavy with dread. For the first time in ages, the mighty civilizations of the stars feared not war nor plague, nor famine. They feared a planet, a living impossibility, a world that was never meant to exist, Earth. The inspection fleet cut through the dark between stars, its hulls shining like cold knives. These were not trading ships nor humble explorers. They were vessels of authority, bristling with weapons and sensors so precise they could peel the skin from a planet's secrets. Inside, chosen delegates whispered among themselves, unsure if they hunted truth or ghosts. For weeks they traveled, chasing the coordinates whispered by myth. At first they expected to find nothing, an empty void, another failed tale. But then, as the fleet crossed the final stretch of dark space, a blue light glimmered ahead. A world turned slowly, wrapped in white clouds, glowing against the black like a jewel in a crown. The bridge of the lead vessel fell silent. "There it is," muttered a scaled officer, his throat swelling with unease. The impossible world. Oceans stretched across its surface, flashing sunlight like mirrors. Vast continents rose, painted in greens, yellows, and browns, and around the poles lay caps of ice, stubborn against the sun's warmth. The sensors quivered with readings, oxygen-rich air, billions of living organisms, storms raging, rivers pulsing, volcanoes bleeding heat. It should not exist. "This world breaks every law of balance," one of the scientists whispered, her voice trembling. "The climate zones are too many. They cannot support each other. It should have collapsed long ago, and yet it thrived." Then came the true shock. "Contact," a technician cried. "Movement in orbit." The fleet's view screens lit with images of strange vessels, smaller than the Council's ships, crude in design, built of metals no advanced race would use. Their shapes were blocky, their engines primitive, their armor laughable by galactic standards, and yet they flew with purpose. Symbols marked their hulls, flags of nations painted boldly, defiantly. Some ships bore red, white, and blue. Others carried stars, stripes, or emblems unknown to alien eyes. But all bore one word, stamped in countless languages. Earth, the Council's envoys, froze. "They have left their world," the speaker's chosen commander whispered. "They build ships with their own hands. They touch the stars." A cold dread filled the chambers of every vessel. For the Council's wisdom had always claimed such a species could never exist. Survival in one climate was enough. To thrive in many was impossible. To leave such a chaotic world behind and reach space, unthinkable. Yet here were the humans, flying like children learning to walk, unsteady but determined. The fleet remained cloaked, watching. Their orders were not to strike but to observe, to collect undeniable proof. But even the most disciplined commanders could not hide their unease. Every new scan revealed more contradictions. Cities glowed at night, vast webs of light across continents. Signals filled the void, music, speech, static bursts of information. Machines orbited the planet, fragile satellites holding to paths no natural world should permit. "This world, it's alive," one of the scientists breathed. "Not only alive, it grows, it changes, it fights itself, yet still it endures. It should be ashes. Instead, it thrives." The serpent delegate, who had once mocked the very idea of Earth, coiled his body tighter and hissed. "This is no natural planet. This is corruption, an insult to order. We must not allow it to spread." But deep inside, fear outweighed arrogance. For if Earth existed, if humans truly lived here, then perhaps the galaxy's understanding of life was small, too small. The inspection fleet sent its first transmission back to the Council. A single image of Earth, bright against the void. When the Council chamber received it, silence fell once more. None dared call it a trick. None dared say the data was false. The myth had solidified into truth. Still, many leaders hoped it was fragile, a mistake of nature, a planet soon to fall apart. But the fleet's reports shattered that hope. Earth was not weak. Earth was strong, and the humans, they were leaving their cradle, Primitive though they seemed, their ships were proof of ambition, proof that they would not remain hidden forever. The council's speaker spoke the words none wished to hear. Summon them. Humanity would be called to stand before the Galactic Council, face to face with civilizations older than their sun, not as myths, not as children, but as challengers to the very laws of life. The inspection fleet turned its gaze once more on the blue planet. The summons reached Earth not as a message of friendship, but as a command. High above the planet, satellites trembled under strange signals. A transmission, encoded in ways no human scientist could have invented, unfolded into every major command center. It was a summons written in 100 alien tongues, yet somehow translated into human speech. The Galactic Council demands your presence. Come forth or be judged in absence. The world governments argued for days. Was it a trap, a trick? Humanity had only just begun to stumble into space. Their rockets and orbital stations were fragile toys compared to the great alien fleets. And yet, here was proof at last they were not alone. The United Nations chamber buzzed with panic. Some nations wanted to refuse. Others wanted to fight. But at last a decision was made. Humanity would answer. Not with soldiers, but with representatives. Scientists, diplomats, and explorers, the best minds Earth could send. A single human vessel was prepared. It was not sleek or elegant, only strong enough to survive the journey under alien guidance. The Galactic Council sent coordinates and humanity obeyed, fear burning in every heart. The voyage to the Council's citadel was brief, carried by alien escort ships that dwarfed Earth's craft like predators circling prey. Through windows, the human delegation watched nebulae stream past, stars shifting in patterns no human eye had ever seen. And then the citadel appeared, a colossal structure, larger than Earth's moon, orbiting a dead star. Its surface shimmered with lights, whole cities stacked upon one another, all wrapped around the heart of the Council. No human had ever dreamed of such a thing, and yet here they were being pulled toward its gates. Inside, the Council chamber was already full. Thousands of alien forms filled tiers of stone and light. Some floated in spheres of water. Others clung to walls with clawed limbs. Beings of crystal, fur, feather, scale, and shadow loomed above, their voices low and sharp as the humans entered. The human delegation walked forward. Their steps echoed in the cavernous hall. Compared to the alien giants, they were small, fragile, unimpressive. Their suits were plain, their faces weary, but their eyes did not waver. The speaker rose, his crystalline body casting shards of light across the chamber. "Behold," he declared, his voice ringing, "the children of Earth. They claim to live on a world of impossibilities. They claim to thrive where no species should. Today they will answer." The serpent delegate leaned forward, tongue flicking with disdain. "Humans, you are accused of lies. No planet can hold oceans and deserts, jungles and ice, fire and storm. Our sciences forbid it. Our histories deny it. Your very existence is an insult to truth." Murmurs filled the chamber. Eyes, too many and too strange, fixed on the humans. One of Earth's chosen, a scientist named Dr. Elara Hughes, stepped forward. Her voice was calm, though her heart thundered. "We do not claim miracles. We claim survival. Earth is real. Our planet is proof that life adapts. Where one world might support only a single balance, ours supports many. We live in deserts, in tundra, in forests, in mountains. Our planet is not fragile. It is alive in all its forms." Laughter erupted among the delegates. Cruel, mocking laughter. "Stories," hissed the serpent. "Words. Where is your proof?" Another delegate, cloaked in shimmering mist, added, "Bring us evidence or admit your fraud." The humans exchanged looks. They had expected doubt, but not such hostility. Still, they had come prepared. With trembling hands, their team activated a series of holograms. Above the council floor, Earth unfolded in living color. Images of vast rainforests swarming with creatures, footage of deserts where life clung stubbornly to sand, oceans roaring with whales and fish, polar caps where penguins and seals thrived in the cold. DNA samples, preserved and catalogued, were presented. Patterns of complexity that stunned even the most advanced alien biologists. Evidence of extinctions, of rebirths, of survival across millions of years. The chamber grew restless. Some stared in disbelief, others in awe. For the first time, doubt cracked the arrogance of the council. Yet the serpent delegate rose again, eyes blazing. Tricks of light, fabrications. You speak of chaos as strength, impossible. No world can bear such strain. I demand proof beyond question." The speaker struck his staff, crystal ringing through the hall. "So it shall be. The council declares a trial. Our own envoys will walk upon this earth. They will see with their own eyes. If your claims are false, your people will be exiled from the stars, never to rise again." The words echoed like a sentence of doom. The humans bowed their heads, not in defeat, but in grim acceptance. They knew what the aliens did not. Earth did not need them to argue. Earth would speak for itself, and so the trial of humanity began. The greatest civilizations in the galaxy had demanded proof. Soon they would receive it, but proof once seen could not be forgotten. The decision was made. The Council's envoys would set foot on Earth itself. No longer would they argue over images and data. No longer would they dismiss human words as tricks. The truth would be witnessed with their own eyes, and judgment would follow. The inspection fleet broke from its cloaked orbit and descended. From Earth's surface, telescopes spotted flashes of light and streaks of fire in the sky. To most humans it was a mystery. Shooting stars, they thought. Only the highest levels of government knew what it truly meant. The trial had begun. The first landing was made in the Amazon basin. Towering alien ships descended through storms, their engines scattering birds in panic. The Council's chosen scientists emerged, tall, armored in suits that shimmered like glass, their every step cautious as though the very ground might strike back. What they saw stole their voices. Trees stretched higher than any structure on their worlds, layered in endless green. Rivers thundered like liquid thunderbolts, their waters teeming with life. Thousands of species of insects buzzed around them, more than some alien planets had in total. A single human guide, a biologist named Dr. Elias Moreno, stepped forward. He wore only light gear compared to the armored envoys. Sweat ran down his face in the jungle's heat, but his smile was steady. "You wished for proof," he said simply. "Here it is." The alien scientists scanned the soil, the air, the creatures crawling under leaves. Their instruments overloaded with readings, oxygen levels spiking, biodiversity beyond measure, energy flows cycling in ways no model predicted. "This forest alone," Moreno explained, "contains more species than exist on some entire planets. And it is only one of Earth's many faces." The serpent delegate, who had accompanied the mission despite his disdain, narrowed his eyes. A forest. Chaotic, wasteful, hardly sustainable. Moreno only nodded. "Then come. See more." The next landing was made in the Sahara Desert. Here the aliens expected to find death. Instead, they found resilience. Tribes of humans lived under the burning sun, their homes shaped by sand and stone. Plants pushed stubbornly through dunes. Reptiles and mammals adapted to the harshest heat. Even insects thrived where no alien model predicted survival. A feathered envoy, astonished, muttered, "How do they live here? No stable water, no temperate balance." Dr. Moreno answered with a calm smile. "We adapt. Where water is scarce, we conserve. Where heat kills, we endure. Life always finds a way," the serpent hissed in frustration. "These are isolated pockets." Exceptions, not proof, but his words sounded weak even to his own followers. From the desert, the envoys traveled to Antarctica. Their vessels shuddered in icy winds, engines crusted with frost as they set down upon the endless white. Here, too, they found life. Penguins clustered in thousands. Seals sprawled on ice, fish darted beneath frozen seas. Even microbes thrived in boiling vents deep under the ocean floor. The serpent delegate's arrogance cracked. Cold, heat, drought, flood. How can one planet bear such opposites? Dr. Moreno knelt, scooping up snow and letting it fall through his fingers. Because life is not fragile. It changes, it grows. It bends but does not break. That is Earth's secret. The aliens said nothing. At last the envoys demanded to see the greatest proof of all, humanity itself. They were brought to cities, vast, sprawling webs of light and steel. They saw skyscrapers rising into the sky, traffic flowing like veins of fire, and billions of humans moving with purpose. They saw cultures layered upon cultures, languages beyond counting, systems of survival built in climates that no other species could endure. One crystalline envoy whispered to another, "They are everywhere. No single environment contains them. They conquer them all." At night, The alien delegation stood on a high tower overlooking the city of São Paulo. Light stretched across the horizon like stars reborn on Earth's surface. The serpent delegate, once so certain of Earth's impossibility, now stood silent. His gaze fell not on the jungle or desert or ice, but on the humans themselves. "Your species should not exist," he muttered. Dr. Moreno met his stare. "And yet we do." The alien envoys returned to their vessels, shaken. Their reports would travel back to the Council, filled with evidence undeniable. But more than data, they carried something heavier, the memory of a planet that broke every law of balance and survived. The myth was no longer myth. Earth was real, and humanity was proof that life was stronger than order, stronger than rules, stronger than the galaxy had ever believed. The Council would gather soon. The verdict would be spoken. But even now a question burned in every envoy's mind, one they dared not ask aloud. The envoys returned to the Council with data no one could deny. Their reports were overflowing with proof. Images of jungles alive with countless species, deserts brimming with hidden resilience, ice caps sheltering thriving creatures, and cities built by humans in every climate. The Council chamber was restless when the evidence was presented. Holograms of Earth filled the vast hall, rainforests buzzing with life, oceans glowing with movement, and human cities pulsing like living hearts. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Council could not laugh, but neither could they accept. The speaker struck his staff against the floor, sharp cracks echoing like breaking ice. "So it is true," he said. "The world exists. The humans exist. And yet," his crystal body dimmed, "we cannot understand it. Their world should not stand. Their species should not survive." Whispers rippled through the chamber. Some called it blasphemy against natural law. Others called it dangerous. A few, very few, murmured in awe. The serpent delegate rose, coils sliding across the stone floor. His voice slithered through the chamber. "Proof, yes, but survival is not the same as strength. These humans claim adaptation. But adaptation can be luck. Chaos, they survive by chance, not by design. I say we test them." The word test spread like fire. The speaker leaned forward, light refracting from his body. "And what test do you propose?" The serpent's tongue flicked. "Send them where even strong civilizations falter. Let them prove their claims not with words, not with images, but with survival. If their planet makes them so adaptable, then they will endure. If not, they will fail, and we will close this matter forever." Silence followed. The Council had never placed an entire species under such a trial. Yet the idea coiled in their minds. It was neat. It was final. It would settle the unease that gnawed at their pride. At last the speaker raised his staff. "The proposal is heard. Let it be voted." Columns of light flared across the chamber as delegates cast their judgment. One by one the votes tallied. Many feared Earth, but many more feared what it meant if Earth thrived unchecked. The result was clear. The trial would proceed. The speaker turned to the humans standing at the chamber's center. They were so small, so plain, so unthreatening, and yet the weight of the galaxy pressed upon them. "You have brought us proof of your world," the speaker intoned. "But proof is not enough. You will face a challenge. A trial chosen by this council. Survive it and your people will be recognized among us. Fail and your world will be sealed from the stars." Gasps filled the chamber. One human delegate, Ambassador Ruth Hale, stepped forward. Her voice was steady, though her chest pounded. "What challenge?" The serpent's eyes gleamed. "A world on the edge of death. A planet of storms, poisoned seas, and unstable ground. Many civilizations have attempted colonies there. All have perished. If you are truly what you claim, if chaos and hardship have made you strong, then you will succeed where others failed." Dr. Moreno, still weary from guiding the envoys on Earth, exchanged glances with his fellow delegates. The trial was brutal, perhaps impossible. But to refuse was worse. Ambassador Hale raised her chin. "We accept." The chamber erupted, some in disbelief, some in anger, some in secret admiration. To accept such a trial without hesitation was reckless. Or perhaps it was courage. The speaker's crystalline body flared with light. "So it is decided. Preparations will begin. The humans will face the trial, and in their survival or their failure, the truth will be revealed." As the council adjourned, the alien delegates whispered among themselves, "Fools, they will be crushed, perhaps. Yet if they endure, Then we must ask what it means for us. Far from the chamber, the human delegation gathered in silence. Their hearts were heavy, but their eyes burned with determination. Dr. Moreno finally spoke what all were thinking. They do not understand. They think survival in chaos is our weakness, but it is our strength. On Earth, we have already faced storms, plagues, extinctions, and fire. What they call a trial is only another challenge, and humanity does not run from challenges. In the darkness of the Council citadel, plans were made. Ships were prepared. A dead world waited, its storms howling, its seas poisoned, its soil unstable. The Council believed it would break the humans, but they did not know Earth's children. They did not know what it meant to be born of the impossible. The trial world waited on the edge of known space, wrapped in storms and silence. Its name, spoken in a dozen alien tongues, meant only one thing: death. When the human delegation arrived, escorted by Council ships, the alien crews looked down with pity. The planet's seas boiled with toxins, its sky churned with lightning storms, and its surface split with earthquakes. Whole civilizations had tried to tame it. All had been erased. "This is where they end," muttered a crystalline envoy aboard the escort ship. "No species survives here." But the humans did not flinch. Ambassador Ruth Hale stood on the observation deck, staring at the world below. The storms reminded her of Earth. Hurricanes tearing at coastlines, tempests that flattened cities, yet never erased humanity. She turned to her team. "We've faced worse. The only difference here is no one else has survived long enough to tell the story." Their vessel descended, battered by winds, but the humans landed with precision on a plateau of fractured stone. The Council envoys watched from orbit, convinced the humans would falter in days. Instead, the humans began to build. They had not brought towering machines or massive generators. They carried only tools, shelter materials, and their own stubborn will. Within hours, they raised protective domes from local stone and reinforced them with alloys scavenged from their ship. Solar panels unfolded, capturing what little light pierced the toxic clouds. Then came the storms. Lightning shredded the sky, striking with blinding force. Winds howled at hurricane speeds. The alien observers leaned closer to their screens, expecting to see the domes torn apart. But inside, the humans huddled calmly, adjusting supports, sealing cracks, and waiting with grim patience. When the storm passed, they emerged, not defeated, but ready to work again. Days turned to weeks. The poisoned seas, which no alien species had dared approach, became targets of human ingenuity. With crude filters and chemical treatments, the humans began to extract fresh water. Fish-like creatures once deemed inedible were tested, cooked, and eventually eaten. Crops of hardy seeds brought from Earth were planted in soil enriched with painstaking care. The Council's envoys argued furiously. "They cannot last," cried the serpent delegate. "This is false endurance." Luck, nothing more, but others watched in silence. For every disaster the planet threw at the humans, storms, quakes, floods, they adapted. Their shelters grew stronger, their water cleaner, their food more secure. What had broken greater civilizations became the crucible of human resilience. And then something unexpected happened. The humans did not only survive, they began to explore. Teams set out beyond their settlement, charting ravines, climbing shattered mountains, mapping currents of toxic rivers. Where others saw death, they saw challenge. Where others had fled, they pressed forward. One alien scientist whispered, half in awe, half in fear, "They are not enduring the world. They are taming it." Weeks stretched into months. The settlement thrived. Children laughed under reinforced domes. Crops pushed green shoots through poisoned soil. Humans shared stories around artificial fires, their voices carrying in the storm-lashed night. The Council's observers, once confident in human failure, now faced a truth they had never considered. Perhaps Earth had not been a mistake at all. Perhaps it had forged its people for this very moment. Ambassador Hale stood before a transmission camera one evening, sending her report back to the Council chamber. Behind her, lightning split the sky, illuminating the settlement that had grown from nothing into a living home. "You asked us to prove ourselves," she said firmly. "You gave us a world that defeated others. But you forget, our home world was never gentle. We have survived fire and ice, plague and famine, flood and drought. We do not fear chaos. We are born of it, and we do not break." Her words carried across the stars. The Council delegates watching in silence could no longer mock. For in their arrogance, they had given humanity the perfect stage to reveal what they truly were. Not fragile, not lucky, unstoppable. And as the storm raged on that cursed planet, humanity stood tall, proving to the galaxy that the impossible was their birthright. The trial world had been meant to break them. Instead, it became their proof. For months, the humans endured storms that split mountains, floods that swallowed valleys, and quakes that tore their shelters in two. Each time they rose again. Each time they rebuilt stronger. Where poisoned seas had driven others to despair, humans drew drinkable water. Where dead soil had rejected seed, they coaxed green life. And where endless tempests had crushed colonies before, they laughed beneath the thunder and kept going. From orbit, the Council's envoys could not deny what they saw. Their reports poured back into the chamber of the Council. Daily logs of survival. Images of crops sprouting against all odds. Recordings of human laughter echoing under black skies. At last the order was given. Recall the humans. Bring them before the Council one final time. The chamber filled once more with every delegate, the air heavy with anticipation. When the humans walked forward, heads held high, the silence was thunderous. They were leaner, hardened by their trial, but their eyes burned with something no storm had quenched. The speaker rose, crystalline body glowing dimly. "Children of Earth," he said, his voice sharp with restrained awe, "you were given a trial designed to destroy. You were sent to a world where stronger species perished. Yet you return alive." Ambassador Ruth Hale stepped forward. "We do not just return alive, we return thriving. Because survival is what defines us. You gave us a world of death and we made it live." Murmurs swept the chamber. Some delegates leaned forward, trembling with disbelief. Others bowed their heads, shamed by their own doubt. The serpent delegate, his coils tense, hissed bitterly, "It is impossible. Chaos cannot be strength. Disorder cannot lead to survival." Dr. Moreno's voice rang out, calm but fierce. "Yet it has. Your sciences speak of balance, of fragile equations that crumble when disturbed. Ours speaks of adaptation, of change, of resilience. Earth taught us this. Every storm, every drought, every plague. Our world has broken us 1,000 times. But each time we rose again. That is why we stand here now." The serpent fell silent. There was no answer. The speaker raised his staff. The sound rang like a chime of judgment. Then the Council has its verdict. Light swept across the chamber as votes were cast. One by one the beams tallied, climbing higher, brighter. At last the result blazed above them all. Recognition. The speaker's voice trembled with the weight of history. "The humans of Earth are no myth. They are no accident. They are the children of the impossible. Their world is chaos, yet it thrives. Their species should have perished, yet they endure. From this day forth, they are recognized as equals among the stars." The chamber erupted, not in laughter but in thunderous sound, a clash of fear, admiration, and reluctant respect. Some cheered, some recoiled, but none denied the truth. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, not as beggars, not as myths, but as proof that the impossible was real. Ambassador Hale bowed her head, only briefly. "We thank you for recognition," she said, her voice steady. "But remember, Earth did not shape us to be timid. We will not simply take our place among you. We will grow. We will reach, we will explore, and we will endure as we always have." The Council's delegates shivered, for her words carried not threat but certainty. Far across the stars, on their blue-green home, billions of humans continued their lives, unaware of the title now whispered in alien halls, "Children of the Impossible." And in the shadows of the Council chamber, a few quiet voices wondered, not in fear but in awe, if humanity could thrive in a world that should never exist, what would they do with the galaxy itself? Recognition should have been the end of the story. Humanity had proven itself, won its place, and silenced its doubters. Yet for humans, an ending is never the end. It is only the beginning. Months after the Council's verdict, Earth's name echoed across the stars. Alien scholars traveled to study the impossible biosphere. Scientists debated human adaptability with awe and unease. And fleets, once dismissive, now sent envoys bearing gifts, treaties, and cautious invitations. But humanity was not content with respect. On the trial world, now renamed Haven by its settlers, colonies continued to grow. What began as domes of stone and metal had expanded into thriving towns, linked by roads carved into mountainsides and lights that shone even through storm clouds. Children born under alien skies laughed in languages that blended Earth and galaxy. The council envoys who had once doubted now visited often, not to oversee, but to learn. They walked among humans who thrived where their own kind had perished, asking questions they had never thought to ask. Ambassador Hale stood on a new platform overlooking the growing settlement. "We came here to prove survival," she told her people. "But what we have shown is far greater. We are not only survivors, we are builders, explorers, dreamers, and now the galaxy must see that what they thought impossible is only our beginning." Word spread of humanity's next step. They would not stop at Haven. Expeditions were being planned to other, impossible worlds, planets abandoned as cursed, untamable, unlivable. Where others saw death, humanity saw destiny. The council grew uneasy once more. If Earth's children could tame the untamable, what limits could possibly hold them back? In quiet corners of the chamber, whispers rose. If they can thrive anywhere, then nowhere will remain beyond their reach. But humanity did not whisper. They looked to the stars with steady eyes. The title Children of the Impossible was no longer just recognition. It was a promise, for the galaxy had spent millennia avoiding broken worlds. Now one species declared boldly, "We will make them home." And so began humanity's true journey, not just proving the impossible, but claiming it world by world until the stars themselves would bow to their resilience.